Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new ranking video. I'm looking at the last 6 Alien movies and ranking them worst to best. We're looking at the entire Aliens franchise. Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, then going back all the way to the start of the timeline with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. This is my first time in quite a while rewatching all of these movies. I hadn't seen Resurrection or Covenant before. These movies are full of ups and downs. You start off pretty strong and then it hits quite the low point, but then it sort of picks back up with the prequels. I'm not going to waste any more of your time, so let's get started. In last place, number 6, we have Alien 3. In my opinion, Alien 3 is the worst movie in the franchise. There are some Alien 3 defenders, and I see you out there. I'm glad you enjoyed this, and by no means is it terrible. I don't think a single one of these movies are absolute dirt terrible, but Alien 3 just feels like it was really unnecessary. Now, there are only a few positives I can really say about this movie. The first positive thing is that this is the end of the original Ripley's story, and I think they send her off pretty well. She has an alien inside her throughout the whole movie, and obviously the main bad guys are going to want to get their hands on her, or mainly just the alien creature, but she is done with all this BS. No one's getting their hands on this damn thing, so she falls back into the fire, into the lava, or whatever the hell it is, and she sacrifices herself, saves the world in doing so by not letting this little creature get out. And that brings me to my second positive. There are a lot of cool shots in this movie. The scene with her falling back and sacrificing herself, a chest burster comes out of her right as she's falling, and she just holds on to it. It's as soon as it's born, nope, see you later. That was really cool. There's some close-up shots of the alien. There's one iconic scene where Ripley's in this med bay area or whatever, and there's an alien getting right up close to her face, and that's really freaking cool. And there's a few others that are probably escaping my mind, but that bleeds perfectly into one of my negatives, which is, holy crap, the faraway shots of the alien when we're not super up close to it, and it's not a practical suit or whatever visual effects they were using. It's not the worst thing ever, but Alien and Aliens had such cool practical effects, and I don't really remember any terrible CGI or anything in those movies, but the look of this alien thing is just so ugly, and it's not even that bad. It just caught me so off guard because it feels like the standard just dropped. I don't know what the story behind the scenes was with that. Maybe it's just that it aged poorly, but I don't know. It caught me real off guard because everything up to that point looked really cool. And the story for this movie is that she's crash landed on this planet that has an all-male prison, and there are a bunch of rapists and murderers and all that terrible stuff. And I don't really like the setting. It's just a dim, dark prison, a lot of rusty, orange kind of coloring going on. A lot of tunnels they're just walking through. It's kind of neat, if this was for a single moment in this area sort of thing, but we spend the entire movie in just this giant prison cell, which some people might be a fan of. I really wasn't. And speaking of the prisoners, a lot of them are forgettable. I don't remember any of their names, not even some of my favorite ones. The super religious dude, who's their, not leader, but kind of guiding them, setting the tone for how to live their ways. He's really chill. I like him. Then there's a guy who works at the prison, who is, I guess, kind of Ripley's love interest. He gets killed halfway through the movie, which was really surprising. You would think a character like him would make it to the end or even survive, but they get rid of him about halfway through, and I thought that was pretty shocking, and I did enjoy that. A little shock factor never hurt nobody. But other than those two and Ripley, didn't really care too much about anybody else in this movie. If they died or lived, awesome. A person I did care about that came from Aliens that isn't in this movie is Newt. I like Newt. She was cool, having Ripley be this mother figure trying so hard to protect this little girl. Hell yeah, give Ripley some more motivation to kick some ass. But no, they crash land on this planet, and the dude that was with them that got injured, he dies in the crash in their pod. Newt also drowns in her little cryo chamber or whatever it's called. What the hell? Then there's Bishop, who is totally screwed up, but even when they bring him back to life, he's I'm not gonna be a full robot again, just kill me please. So they gotta do that. The characters that I enjoyed from Aliens, other than Ripley, they're all dead at the start of the movie. I wish they could have done something else. That just kind of bummed me out. There are still other movies to come in the Alien franchise that are way better than Alien 3, but watching this movie just made me feel like I would have been better off if they had only just ever made Alien then Aliens and forgotten everything else. Maybe bring the prequels in, but 3 and 4, as you'll see in a little bit, they feel so unnecessary, and that is my main problem with them. They could have never been made, and I would have been alright, yeah, we're not really missing anything. Alien 3, bit of a dud. While it's not the worst thing ever, it is just something I would never care to watch again. Moving on to number 5, we have Alien Resurrection, the 4th Alien movie, And it is a step up from Alien 3, that is for sure. It's a bit more fun. The setting is back on like an actual ship, and that's always cool. That's where I want my Alien movies to be. If they're gonna keep something the same, keep the ship the same, because space is fun. The main complaint right out of the gate for this movie is Ripley. Her story ended well in 3. While I didn't like the movie, her characters end awesome. But they make a clone of her and bring her back, and she is like this totally different person. They really hammer in on how Ripley's this badass now, and she's always been, but now it's like, well, she's cloned, so now we made her to be a badass, when before it's like, no, she was just like that because of her character. But even though there's a big change in Ripley here, and it's not the actual Ripley, I still like the character, but I hate her reason for being there. Like, the whole clone thing, I don't like all of that, and her being a mother to the xenomorphs and stuff. No, just no. There was a moment where I considered putting this under Alien 3, but really the only thing that saves this from being in the last spot is that the cast is fun and has a lot of notable names that I like in there. Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder, the guy from Nope, I forgot his name, but the dude with the cool voice, he's in there. Also, Brad Dourif's in there, the voice of Chucky. I didn't even realize it was him, because he had that weird-ass, like, ponytail thing. The good cast and the decent characters are the only thing that saved this movie from being in dead last. There's this new big bad, I guess, this like humanoid xenomorph creation thing. While it looks kind of cool, it just it rubs up on Ripley all the damn time, and those scenes where that happens, it's like, dude, like, I get, oh yeah, because that clone Ripley's its mother, and it's so sweet and stuff. And it's like, no, stop it. Stop it right now. Also, speaking of the xenomorphs, there are a lot of them. They are, I guess, like, breeding them or whatever on this new ship. When we get a faraway shot, they are a definite step up from the faraway shots that we got of the xenomorph in Alien 3, but that bar isn't that high, so hey, I'm thankful that it wasn't an eyesore, so thank you, Alien Resurrection. There's also a really, really cool kill in this movie that saves it from me hating on it too much. It is like a chest-bursting, head-biting, double extravaganza. It's amazing. But even with those really cool things sprinkled in, the movie is not that great, mainly just the characters. Ripley is still cool, like even the basketball scene with Ron Perlman where she's like, you know, bouncing and dribbling the ball away from him, he can't get it, and then she bounces it back up into his nuts. It's just not Ripley. It's not our Ripley. It's not the Ripley we like from Alien and Aliens. It is just, it's not her, and that is just a huge, huge bummer. At number 4, we have Prometheus. This is the first movie in the timeline, how everything came to be, I guess, or leading up to the things that came to be. I'm not the biggest fan of this movie, but there are some really great moments, honestly some of the best in the entire franchise. The alien C-section scene was just incredible, having this thing rapidly growing inside of our main character, and she gets into this pod or whatever, has to do the surgery, like the little claw machine like drags the little squid bastard out of there. She staples up her cut and she gets out of Dodge. Hell yeah. Elizabeth Shaw is our first main character that isn't Ripley, and you know what? Still a good main character. Noomi Rapace does a great job. Again, more cast members in this that I absolutely love. Charlize Theron is in this. Hell yeah. Idris Elba's in this. Big hell yeah. Going back to some of the best moments, in my opinion, in the entire franchise. The whole "it's in my suit" scene where the little snake thing breaks the guy's arm, acid gets onto his partner's helmet, melts his face, goes into the other guy's suit. It's in my suit. It's in my suit. I love an introduction to whatever alien creature is gonna be showing up. So the introduction to that, like, snake eel-like thing was pretty cool. Also, the guy that had his face melted by the acid, he comes back as, like, the zombie, which is very not alien-like. He's, like, jumping around all over the place. He's, like, crushing a guy's ribs by just stomping on him and punching his helmet in, just tossing guys around. Very not alien, but it was, you know, it's still pretty awesome. There are a lot of cool moments in this that are just wrapped around a plot that I do not really care about, and that's what brings this movie down. We get introduced to the engineers, which are these, like, these gods, I guess, very muscular, pale dudes that, I guess, made us. And the main reason our crew is out looking for life or whatever is to try to see if these engineers are still here and if they can communicate with them. There's this old guy that is the whole reason they're going out and doing this. They think he's dead, but surprise, after the alien C-section scene, Elizabeth stumbles into a room, and she sees the old guy is not just from a hologram, he's still alive, whoa, and he's also Charlize Theron's father, whoa. It's not really important because they go and find the engineers, he's like, engineers, and gets whacked in the face with an android head. So many interesting things that happen in this movie, but I just couldn't care about, like, the main reason these people are here in the first place, which kind of sucks. I'm kind of torn about how to truly feel about this movie because the plot, while I'm not a big fan of it, as I've just said, it's not terrible. They need to have a reason for being there. I just don't really care all that much about it. But there are enough really awesome moments to where I could go back and watch this and not have any regret, I guess that would be the right word for it. So while Prometheus isn't necessarily an all-time favorite of mine, or one of the best in the franchise, it is still a huge step up from Resurrection and Alien 3. So thank you, Prometheus, for taking us back in time, and also not being total garbage. At number 3, this might surprise you, but the original Alien is in my number 3 spot. Now, I have nothing bad to say about Alien. People consider Alien to be one of the greatest movies of all time, not just in horror, but just like in movie history. Like, Alien is a standout. We love Alien. Awesome. It's a classic, and that is absolutely true. There are a couple of reasons why I'm not that high on Alien as a lot of people are. Number 1, it's been 6 or 7 years since I last watched it, and I remember loving it. But when I rewatched it recently, it didn't hit the same. I don't know what it was. Maybe it is due to the fact that I watched this as soon as I woke up because I planned on ranking every Alien movie. So I said, let's get started, threw on Alien, and maybe I was still trying to wake up. So the slow moments where it's just trying to build tension, and I'm sitting there trying to wake up like, okay. So I'm thinking that might be a big factor as to why I didn't like it as much as I did years ago. But as I said before, it is still a great movie. Just because it's not number 1 or number 2 doesn't mean I dislike it. And you might consider it TikTok brained of me to think that I want more action instead of the tension building and environment setup, which I do like those things, but I want, a little bit more action. Like, we get the action at the halfway point and towards the end, like the iconic chest bursting scene. Oh God! Hell yeah, that is an all-time scene just in movies in general. Like, it's that damn cool. Also, going back to the tension building up, walking around and seeing this thin layer of mist, and then seeing these eggs just all scattered around. The moment of him just like looking around and seeing all these eggs is arguably a bit more scarier than like the jump of the facehugger itself. And obviously, I've been talking about Ripley this whole time. This is the movie that introduces not just the xenomorph, which is one of the most iconic and badass creatures in horror and movies in general. I say that a lot. This isn't just a great horror movie. This is just a great movie. And we also get introduced to one of the best protagonists, I guess final girls, Ripley. She is very kick-ass. And then you also got Jones in there, Jonesy, the cat. Love him to death. This movie just has so many great elements. The feeling just wasn't there on this rewatch, and I'm sure if I throw it on again tonight, I'll feel a bit better about it. Now, usually the argument might be between Alien or Aliens, which one is better, but we got a middle child here for me, because number 2 is Alien Covenant. And now, while I do think overall Alien might be a better movie, I think I just had a lot more fun with Covenant. Like I said, I like my action, and I like a lot of things happening, and this has a lot of things happening. But I'll get my biggest negative out of the way right now. The whole android thing, Walter and David. At first I was like, oh yeah, exploring my purpose for being here, my meaning. It's like, okay, not too thrilled about this going from an alien is attacking our ship to, ooh, we're here and we exist. What's going on? The difference between old android and new android. But it quickly turns into David's this absolute menace, so it makes me care about that storyline a lot more, so it kind of saves it from being probably below Alien. My other little complaint is that most of the crew are just there to be extra bodies for the aliens and xenomorphs and what have you to kill, and that's totally okay. You need bodies to pad that count. But some of the more main characters make really stupid decisions. I'm looking at you, Maggie. Maggie, might be one of the dumbest characters in the franchise. I'm sure she has a good heart. And Tennessee, I'm sorry for talking negatively about your wife, but holy hell, one of the most baffling sequence of events I have watched during my whole rewatch of the Alien franchise is seeing Maggie locking her coworker in the med bay with this dude that's about to have shit come out of his back and, rip his spine out or whatever. She is slipping all over the place. She can't hit her shots with the gun, and I know, very stressful situation. Very stressful situation. You're freaking out, Maggie. Okay. But Dude, Maggie, you gotta get it together, man. So other than a few dumb decisions, some of the other characters are just plain forgettable. I couldn't tell you half their names. Mainly just bodies to throw on the count, and hey, I love me some kills, so I'm fine with that. But staying on topic with characters, we have Tennessee, who's played by Danny McBride. Always a joy to see him on screen. And also I mentioned the androids. We have Walter, who is like David, but newer and not David. But Walter's chill. David's also a pretty cool, like, secret antagonist. Then we have our new lead protagonist, Daniels, which she, while not perfect, is still a good character to follow, and she becomes really kick-ass at the later portion of the movie. Going back to David, he is an android that was from Prometheus. I didn't really mention him because I didn't really care for him in that. He was just, like, kind of a bad android. But in Covenant, he's positioned as this, hey, seemingly nice android that knows the area, so I'll help you guys out and get back on the Covenant, or whatever the ship's called. But it turns out he's a bad guy, and he's looking at the other android, which is Walter. So it's Michael Fassbender and Michael Fassbender kind of talking to each other. David also drops a really great line, and the whole moment in general is really awesome.
What do you believe in, David? Creation.
Hell yeah, really cool shit. We see some of the stuff he did between Prometheus and Covenant. He is just this ultimate bad guy, and there is a twist ending involving him, which I'm sure everyone saw it coming from a mile away. It's still really cool because he kind of wins in the end, and he plays classical music, and he has this shit-eating grin, and it is just really funny to see him walking around the ship. Covenant is up so high, probably because not only is it a lot of fun, just seeing the birth of the first ever xenomorph is really cool, and it's also a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it would kind of be like middle of the road, kind of like Prometheus, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Covenant. I know there are a lot of people that aren't too high on the prequels, Prometheus and Covenant. They're not fans of it, and I totally get that. It's not going to be for everyone, but Covenant just caught me completely off guard, and it is one of my favorite horror movies that I've watched recently, and that just leaves number one. So at number one, we have Aliens, my favorite movie in the franchise. It has pretty much a bit of everything. I'm a sucker for a large crew going into an unknown territory and getting attacked by creatures. That's also something that Covenant has. But Aliens did it first. The crew is full of, like, colorful characters. I don't remember all their names, but still a fun group to follow along as they try and shoot and flamethrow all of these xenomorphs. Of course, since it's a sequel to Alien, we get Ripley back. Everybody's happy. Jonesy's also in there for a little bit, and even though he's not on screen, that just means he's a safe little guy, so heck yeah. And we also get Newt. I expressed why I like Newt so much in the Alien 3 portion. I like her character because it gives Ripley an extra thing to, like, look after, give her more motivation to kick ass. The sort of mother-daughter relationship that they have is one of my favorites throughout, like, any movie I've seen. I just think it's really strong because Newt, while being in a strange location and being worried, she's also a little survivor herself because she's been surviving, like, weeks just in this little room. And Ripley is also a survivor too. So they're just, like, made for each other. And after watching Aliens, it made me appreciate Alien even more because it sets up Alien so well. It bleeds perfectly into this movie, Ripley being taken aboard a new ship, and she fits in with this crew, like, almost right away. You know, she's using this giant machine that comes in later. Also in Aliens, we get the Alien Queen, which I have a Funko Pop of the Alien Queen. Just such a cool, just a xenomorph, but, like, the big bad xenomorph. So again, something just that's so cool. And the big fight between Ripley and the big robot suit or whatever going against the Alien Queen. One of the best showdowns to end a movie off. It is so fun. The way they get rid of the alien, shoving her out the ship, and she's just off into space. Also, we get the "get away from her, you bitch" line, which is just fantastic.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Aliens set up the face hugger and the xenomorph and all that stuff, but Aliens really plays around with it more. We get to see more stuff with the alien blood, which is like acid, and we spend a little bit more time with the face hugger itself. There's a face hugger that is just roaming around the room, causing all sorts of chaos, and they get saved last minute. Really cool stuff right there. Again, the tension coming back from the first movie. At the end, before Newt gets put into her, like, sleep chamber or whatever, she's like, "Can I dream?" That is such a great line to have at the end of the movie. Just everything about this works. Everything about Aliens is so much fun. Great sci-fi, great horror, great action, just you name it, it's there. Really, the only complaint I have in this movie, but it kind of helps build towards, like, character stuff or whatever, is that nobody listens in this. Ripley will say, "Hey, don't do that," and a character will do that. Someone will say, "Hey, it's not a good idea to do that," and the characters will do that anyway. Nobody listens in this, but it leads us into some cool kills and some action. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. Every movie in the Alien franchise ranked from worst to best. I bet you probably disagree, but hey, you know, it is what it is. Can't wait for Alien Romulus. It's already out by the time this is uploaded. I'm probably in theaters as we speak watching it. I hope it's good. I've seen a lot of praise for it, but I've also seen a lot of negative reviews for it saying it doesn't do anything too different, which that sucks. But I hope it will be a blast nonetheless, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.